Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature is situated in everyone's heart. He knows, therefore, the past, present and future of every individual person, as well as his desires, activities, and everything about him. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that He is seated in the heart as a witness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knew the heart's desire of Kardama Muni, and He had already arranged for the fulfillment of his desires. He never disappoints a sincere devotee, regardless of what he wants. But He never allows anything which is detrimental to the individual's devotional service. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat the translation. The Supreme Lord said, having come to know what was in your mind, I have already arranged for that, for which you have worshipped me well through your mental and sensory discipline. So now, after Kardama Muni has addressed the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord, who appeared before him shining very beautifully on the shoulders of Garuda, with eyes moving gracefully, full of smile full of affection, and with nectarian words, the Supreme Lord started speaking to Kardama Muni. The Supreme Lord said, having come to know what was in your mind, I have already arranged for that for which you have worshipped me well through your mental and sensory discipline. So the Supreme Lord is in everybody's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha Ishvaraha sarvabhutanam hrideshi ardina tishtati. So the Lord is seated in every living entity's heart, is well established by the scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads. The Upanishads also say that the Lord is seated along with the living entity, just like the example is given of two birds sitting on a tree. One is the Jivatma, the other is the Paramatma. So the Super Soul or the Paramatma is the expansion of the Supreme Lord from the spiritual world. The Lord expands into this material world as the Karanadakshai Vishnu, who is lying in the Karana ocean, and from him so many Brahmandas emanate, and in each Brahmanda the Lord is lying down as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu further expands into every living entity, every atom as Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So this Shirodakshaya Vishnu is the Leela of the Lord. The Shirodakshaya Vishnu, because he expands as Shirodakshaya Vishnu in a planet filled with water, Kshira. He resides there with Lakshmi, and from him expands the various reflections of his self in the hearts of every living entity and every atom. This is a picture that is painted in Srimad Bhagavatam about the personal expansions of the Lord in this material world. So the fact is that the Lord is in this material world, but He cannot be seen with our material senses because He is residing in the finest dimension of the material energy. He is there in the material energy. He resides in this material energy, in the finest dimensions of the material energy. That is why in order to see Him, one also has to make one's perception very, very, very fine by Ashtanga Yoga, meditation. Then one can see the Supreme Lord. That apart, is the Lord seated in everybody's heart just for every living entity for some day to meditate upon Him and to see Him? No. 99.99% of the living entities don't see this Paramatma. So the Lord's Leela as Paramatma is not to be seen, but Lord's Leela as Paramatma is to facilitate the living entities' enjoyment in this material world. Because He is Param Ishvara, He is the supreme controller of material energy. Material energy, if you see, always different degrees of controllers are there, small Ishvaras. We are like Ishvara of our body, we are Ishvara of our wealth, we are Ishvara of our money. Even take in any organization, different people have different levels of control at different points, they are Ishvaras. Finally, demigods are there, devatas are there, they are also Ishvaras. This is a reality. Ishvara is a reality. Different levels of Ishvara is a reality. It's not that God is the only Ishvara. God is Param Ishvara. That is why in the material world, living entities, they have got different degrees of freedom and responsibility. And that freedom and responsibility is reflected in the form of the law of karma. And the Lord is the supreme Param Ishvara, who Mayadikshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam, under His superintendence, this material energy is working according to material laws of nature, subtle and gross. Gross, modern scientists have figured out quite a few things about the gross, so that they are able to now give technology, so many things to change the entire lifestyle. So many things have been discovered, and based on that discovery of the gross material nature, based on that discovery, they have manipulated the material energy to provide electricity, to provide so many things like this, unlimited things, which we see in the modern world. But they have no understanding of the subtle energy, material energy of the Lord. So there is subtle energy of the material world. The demigods are controlling those subtle material energy. The devatas are controlling. Because we have no idea of the subtle material energy, we can't perceive it. We cannot perceive these subtle controllers also. The fact is that there are controllers at different levels, and finally there is Param Ishvara. The Lord as Param Ishvara is not sitting at the top of the hierarchy. Just like demigods are better controllers than us of the material energy. But the Paramatma is simultaneously in the top of the hierarchy, as well as anywhere directly he can put his hand in and he can control. Just like the managing director of a company, normally he goes through the hierarchy, his powers. But does it prevent him from walking into the shop floor and giving some directions? No. So it is described that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is directly and indirectly in control of the material energy, in control of everything, including the mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha, the remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness that each living entity gets. That is all determined or guided by So that is guided by the super soul as Paramatma and is controlled. So, recognition of the Supreme Lord's Paramatma feature as a one who gives the living entities direction for fulfilling his fruits of his karma. Even to get the fruits of one's karma, you need the Lord. So here it is said that Kardama Muni, Lord says, Kardama Muni, you have worshipped me with your sensory and mental discipline. That happens to be the karma that he has done, by which now I am rewarding you. He says, I have already arranged for that for which you have worshipped me well through the mental and sensory discipline. So these things are not automatic. At the gross level it is automatic. If I push this table, it has to go forward. When you come to the subtle world, it's not like that. All put together, gross and subtle, gross world is pushed by the subtle world. So gross and the subtle world put together, if somebody wants to get the fruit of some activities, it is the Lord who is called the sanctioner, Anumanta. Witnesser and sanctioner. He is witnessing all the activities of the living entities, and then he is smelling the desires of the living entity just as you smell a flower. And then, according to the desires of the living entity, the Lord gives intelligence to the living entity to work for that desire. And he makes him work for the desire. If he voluntarily works for the desire, then he will get the fruit of that. And fruit is also given by the Lord. So that way, nothing happens without the Lord's sanction, nothing happens without the Lord's blessings, even for the karmis. For non-devotees also, those who are engaged in karma, even the karma, the fruits of karma is also sanctioned by the Lord. He is witnessing the activities of all the living entities. They are all illusory activities. But behind the illusory activities, he knows this living entity is my part and parcel. We forget that we are part and parcel of the whole. But the whole, the Supreme Lord never forgets that the living entities are my part and parcel. So he is never in forgetfulness of absolute truth. The truth is that we are his amshas. Not the present social self, the personality which we identify it is his amsha. The individuality which is behind this identity. There is an individuality which is behind the identity. Identities, many we create. For the sake of relating with the material world, we create identities. Soul is not the identity. Soul is the individuality. Each one of us are unique individuals having free will. Identities are created and destroyed. It's all created in the mind. Identities mean self-concept. Concepts about your individuality. I am this body is an identity. Then I am, let's say somebody is married and then the wife is giving birth to a child. Then the man's mind is started working. Now how I have to develop the rasa of the father. So till then he didn't create the identity of the father. Then in his mind he starts creating the identity of father, what it means to be a father, how I should respond, etc., how I should act, how I should think, how I should feel. He starts creating that identity as a father. It was not there before. Similarly, my identity as a child is gone. Now my identity is a man, adult. Somebody's identity as he identifies with the body. I am a male, I am a female. These are all identities. So in the material world, look at it. Our individuality lives for our identities, which is temporary. My whole life I live for this body. I am this body. And then everything at the time of death, that is abandoned, has to be abandoned. And then your individuality remains. It goes to another identity. So to get detached from these self-concepts that we have created, especially I am this body, that the Lord is waiting in the heart. Moment, atato brahma jijnasa, when you see that, okay, all these are temporary, then what is eternal? When you start thinking, then the Lord in the heart reveals to the devotee, takes one to Bhagavad Gita, takes one to a spiritual master. If you want to know who I am I know now that I am not this identity. Who am I? So then, by the mercy of the Paramatma, one gets the spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Then you surrender to Srila Prabhupada, and under his guidance, one will start his journey of self-discovery. That is when he discovers that identity is not equal to individuality. I have my original identity, that is forgotten. The original identity and individuality are same. Just like if I am asked to play a drama on this stage, my individuality is same. But I have forgotten my identity of the real life. Suppose I have to play the role of a king. Then I adopt the identity of a king. I am a king. And then I do a role play on the stage. But that doesn't mean my identity as Mr. So-and-so in this material world residing in such and such a place with such and such a type of body does not vanish. I may be a male in the outside world. I can play a female role on the stage or not. But I have to take a different dress. I have to dress like a female. I have to think like a female. Then I can play the role of a female. So if suppose I start thinking that, I am really female. No. As soon as drama ends, gone. So one life is one drama. Right? So we should know this. So one will not be too much attached, because one will discard once all the dress of a female, you will discard and come out as an ordinary guy of the real world. Because you have to leave the real world, isn't it not? Is it not? So suppose, let us say, this gets protracted. You are playing the king's role for about 20 years. Then what is the tendency? You used to think this life on the stage, it's real life. Is it not? So in the same way, because of the illusion of time, we are not able to catch this. Hey, this is a temporary identity, this is a dress. But it is said that, the Shastras say that taking a human birth on earth gives the greatest facility for catching this temporary identity, the temporary nature of these identities, and ask this question, who am I? What is my permanent identity? No doubt your individuality is acting on the stage. So now our individuality is acting. With the individuality means free will. Your free will. With your free will you are choosing a role play. I am this. It is built up over the time. From childhood slowly it's built up. So this entire scam of Maya, of making one misidentify with the body, that is what the Acharyas continuously demolish by the Shabda, including Lord Krishna. Vashamsi jirnani yata vihaya dehinosmin yato. So all those things. How the living entity is trapped in this body, which is like a dress. So the entire, one who understands this, the entire material life which was so meaningful. What is the goal of life? My life is very important. My life is very important. Your life, how do you define? My life has this body. And first you create the identity, I am this body. And then you create the identity, social identity, that I am a member of this world. I as this body, as a member of this world. Then what you create? Social ego you create. It's all self-created. From childhood, as we grow in our mind, we create. The entire material life is a creation of mental concoction. And then you live for that. Then you call that as life. What does everybody say with their life? Do they say about life after life? No. No, I have to take care of my life, they will say. Immediately he is captured. His life means in this body. Take care of your life forever. What he is saying is that I have to take care of my drama. I have to take care of my drama. I have to take care. But what about who will take care of your life? So in Krishna consciousness, we teach how to take care of life, not how to take care of drama. And so intelligently that how to take care of drama with respect to the taking care of life. You got a free will to play. There's a huge stage of, this isn't a, 10 feet by 10 feet stage. This entire world is a stage of this drama. Use your free will and play the drama in such a way that you understand, you come out of this illusion that this is life. This is not life. Suppose suddenly, let us say, in our time perception, time is, you have a feeling not this 100 years of life. You are feeling that, time is, everything is very short. You get up and then, you are born, and then in about 3-4 years, everything happens. Growth, this, everything. And then in 4 years, you die. So everybody dies in 4 years. Then everybody will strike. There's something so temporary it is. So temporary it is. So here, it is 100 years. But imagine in the demigod world, it is, 100 times more. Or, 1 day of demigod is 1 year of ours. So much they will feel. So there it is very difficult to find out or to get a realization like time is temporary. But in this material world, you will see, even this material world, even though it is 100 years short also, every day you don't see dead bodies being carried. Still you see. But in the spiritual world, in the heavenly planets, hardly that perception is there, that you die. You have become really philosophical. But here, not only philosophical, you can see. You stand outside the crematorium, you can see every day, bodies are coming, bodies are coming, bodies are coming. And one day you will also go like that. The illusion is that we think we won't go like that. So why should we waste our life only for this? Why not design our life in such a way that we get fruits for eternal fruits? That is, one can become awakened even in this body. As far as the soul is concerned, he can awaken when the mental concoction goes. He identifies himself as a servant of Krishna and he starts acting as a servant of Krishna. Then your life is not in illusion. Then what does it mean? Okay, I am also part of this drama, but I am in this drama as a servant of Krishna for Krishna's work in this world. No difference. Once one understands that, even if you are in this body, it does not make any difference whether you are in the spiritual world or in the material world, as far as the objective is concerned. Of course, material world, dukkhalayam ashashvatam, the dualities of material world, the devotee also has to face, everybody has to face the duality because that is the nature of the material world. They have to face that. But even though the devotee's life, his body, his bodily pain, pleasure, all these things he still undergoes, his objective is very clear, I want to serve Krishna. The life gets a transcendental meaning That is the difference between a devotee who is engaged in devotion service and in the body, and a person who is in this body and he is in illusion taking care of his life span between birth and death of his body. The difference is meaningfulness of life. One gets doesn't matter, the world is temporary, but I am doing devotional service which is eternal. So, the Paramatma, the Lord, is seated in our heart and He guides the devotee, He enlightens the devotee who wants to get to know who He is. And slowly the Lord will reveal to the devotee that you are my Amsha, Mamaiva Amsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. He makes him realize that you are an Amsha. Please be related with me as a servant, as a dependent, as a protected, as a maintained. You are one who is maintained by me. You are one who is directed by me. You are the one who is protected by me. But of course, the devotees are also protected by the Lord, non-devotees are also protected by the Lord. Devotees are protected by the wish and will of the Lord, and non-devotees are protected by according to how they deserve their karma, through the law, through the agency of law of karma. If anybody is getting protection, even a non-devotee, it is because of the sanction of the Lord, but it is happening through, it's conditional, through his agencies. But in the case of the devotees, this is very important to understand. The Lord in the heart becomes very active. One develops relationship with Super Soul as the Chaitya Guru. One can realize very easily how the Lord is bringing me books, taking me to devotees, and how these things are happening. Paramatma is in the heart. He is guiding. He has sensed your desire. You want to know what is life. You want to know what is goal of life. You have hundreds of questions about life. So Paramatma brings you to the right Vaishnavas who can give these answers. Brings one to Srila Prabhupada, who gives all the answers. Every answer that you want is given. Only we have to understand by service and inquiry. Pariprashnena sevaya. And that is exactly what Srila Prabhupada has created. And that is a principle. Pariprashnena sevaya. By approaching as bona fide spiritual master. Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So by inquiry, this is the process. And this Krishna consciousness movement is created for that purpose. What is it? Pariprashnena sevaya. Sevaya. Without serving the spiritual master, without starting devotional service, the process of self-realization doesn't happen. Simply being inquisitive will not happen also. Asking questions, you are not ready to work for that question. The answer to the final question is you are a servant of Krishna. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. Krishna is eternal, you are eternal, you have to serve Him. Okay, I start sevaya. It's what I should serve my spiritual master. And spiritual master is served, he has no other mission than Krishna's mission. So you serve him, Krishna is served. Then our constitutional function of service is awakened. Then automatically all the connected thinking, feeling and willing will become, that is the realization. It starts happening. So for the non-devotees, the Lord is the witnesser and sanctioner. Silent witnesser and sanctioner. For the devotees, the Lord is witnesser, sanctioner and guide. Personal guide. Personal guide. Every devotee over the years as he is advancing in Krishna consciousness, one should not forget that the Paramatma is directly in control of the devotee. As it is said, that the personality of Godhead knew the heart's desire of Kardama Muni and he had already arranged for the fulfillment of his desires. He never disappoints a sincere devotee, regardless of what he wants, but he never allows anything which will be detrimental to the individual's devotional service. So devotees never pray to the Lord anything specific. He tells to the Lord in the heart, I am such a foolish fellow, I don't even know what life is. What can I ask? I just surrender to you, you give me what you want, you lead me where you want. And immediately you feel that transcendental coolness, that shelter that I'm not want to independently lead my life. I want to be led by you. And Paramatma is waiting to lead the living entities. Ye yatamam prapadyanse tam state bhajam. As you surrender, he reciprocates. The degree to which you surrender, he reciprocates. You surrender your desires, he will reciprocate with giving you desires which are filtering the desires which are favorable for your bhakti, cutting out the desires which are not favorable for your mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha is seated in our heart. So if you give Paramatma permission, it is very important. Voluntarily, if you give permission to the Lord, because Lord is highly respectful to the living entities, free will. My Lord, please, I want to surrender this crazy free will that I have got. I want free will to serve you. But I am so confused how to serve you, what to serve you, when to serve you, what desire to have, what not desire to have. This is too burdensome for me. You please inspire in my heart, because you say matasmriti jnanam apohanam. You inspire within my heart. I cannot handle this. I'll just be a servant, I'll just follow you. I want to follow. With faith I will follow whatever you are inspiring me in my heart, according to your direction. Any questions? जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.